Productions.
For everybody who's out there thinking of using VPNs, let me just say to you directly, verifying your age keeps a child safe, keeps children safe in our country. So let's just not try and find a way around. Just prove your age, make the internet safer for children, make it a better experience for everyone. That's surely what we should aspire to in this country.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
I think Tyler is amazing.
And I'm a fan of this show. I've watched several episodes.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler. You stink, Tyler.
Never promise crazy a baby.
Oh, I like that. That's a cool idea.
Are either of you homosexuals?
I go both ways. What do you think?
You mean like flaming or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
But I do wonder, for others, in other cases, whether libertarianism today is just an excuse for many on the right to act selfishly.
Look at me. And then some fat asses in Washington started having opinions. The Olympic Committee started having opinions. You bitch, I know you. You started writing your opinions.
And it just makes me wonder, you're dead, bitch. You know, why are you doing this to this poor guy?
I don't care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
Did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. LPR, a Sunday edition. This is Tyler Yonke. We got Eddie in the chat. We'll wait a little bit to see if anybody else shows up. Either way, you catch us on the replay if you want. And that was Tim Pool on the intro music there. Soft, dulcet tones of Tim Pool in his beanie. That song is horrible, but I never get copyright strikes for using it. So there you go. It's Sunday, and there we are. I already did a bike ride. The wife took off up to the Northwest with her friend. She's driving up there. So I'm heading up there later on this week. But I thought I would do at least a show because I don't know if I'll be able to do a Friday show. And then check me out on Between Two Wheels podcast, also streaming everything over here on X. Later today, we recap the Vuelta a España Stage 2. Fantastic stuff. So I don't know. What do you think about this this video here?
Everybody who's out there thinking of using VPNs, let me just say to you directly, verifying your age.
Okay, so if you use a VPN, a child dies. I think that's look. You can have other reasons to do it. I don't know. Does VPNs do that? Protect children? I don't know. I use a VPN all the time for stuff. Curtis was saying. No golf on a Sunday. That's a good question. It's really hot. It's actually it's not too bad. It's only 90 or so degrees out there now. Yesterday it was 105 or so, and I went and did a ride in the middle of it. When I was more fit, the heat rides I would do a lot. I was pretty good at that kind of. Anyway, I should be golfing. It's hot. I live in Sac. Oh, okay. You live in Sac. Yeah, it is hot. We should golf. I should golf. My son, I would be golfing with him, but he's going to work today. And maybe I'll go to the range. Good. You know, I have to do, though. I do have to go into the office. I have to go into the office today, do some shit. I don't want to do it, but I will. So I don't know if I'll get any. I've been swinging the, you know what? I was supposed to go, but then I've been sick. Well, I hope you get feeling better. I will tell you this. When we went down to Morro Bay a few weeks ago, I don't know what happened. I think it was the drive down there. Something screwed up with my sciatic, and I've been having all kinds of problems. So just getting on the bike was trying to like stretch this stuff out. Swinging the golf club, not not in my wheelhouse right now. Go team, says Rootless Redneck. Thanks, guys. Look. By the way, sign up for the show. If you see it out there, hit the like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, I don't know why you haven't subscribed. We're also doing goals here. If you want to help my legal defense fund, legal analysis fund, I guess for everybody, there's a goal here. We can do that as well. I'm losing subscribers. I've been losing. You look at your data. It's like in the last week, the last 2. It's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I really want to push this, and I'd love to do more stuff, but it takes a lot of time. And by the way, when you check out the Leo Frank stuff, that's the kind of work I would love to be able to do, is to put out, I did so much research for it that when comes time to do regular shows, I'm just like, oh, that's a lot of work to put into to do this. But you know what? There's some things that go on out there, and let's take a look here. So as an example, some legal issues that we can take a look at. I'm not a fan of flag burning, but this is so pathetic. They allow people to burn the U.S. flag, but not a foreign flag of Israel. Lead group hails breakthrough as U.S. judge equates Israel flag with Jewish identity. Okay, so is this true? And I'm like, that's pretty pathetic. And so we'll walk through, the analysis of this. There's also this other one out here where this girl, there was this antisemitism mentioned in Destiny disorderly conduct case. So we'll also break that one down, because what I don't like. Okay, hang on. Thanks for reminding me. I need to go watch your NDS episode from Friday. Look, Curtis, the first, if you're a member of their show, absolutely, you're not going to get a ton out of it for the first, because it's first 30 minutes, and then they put it behind a paywall. We're going to be releasing it, and I'm going to release it too. What was interesting about that, we talked about Leo Frank, was to get them up to the nefarious and the issues going with this and how it all worked out, and then the conspiracy theories that I threw out there, which were interesting, and I knew that they would love those. To get there, I had to walk them through the case a bit, okay? And there's a lot of details that are not taken. So there's some stuff. In the first 30 minutes, it's just me trying to explain the actual criminal aspects and what went on. And once again, I've done these shows before. So if you're on Patreon, okay, then you'll get the whole thing. Go enjoy it. It's actually it's a pretty good one, if I may say so myself. And give me your feedback. If there's more you guys need to know about that issue, I'm going to be putting some more out myself. There's a whole issue of just the legal side of it that we haven't got to. However, stuff like this, to let it perpetuate and to be out there in the ether is somewhat bothersome to me. So here's actually what Jimmy Dore had about this case. And this is our friend Mel, the crazy village lady, was featured
now
in this.
Now it's illegal to burn the Israeli flag. It's legal to burn to the United States flag.
Okay.
But legal group hails breakthrough as U.S. judge equates Israeli flag with Jewish identity. So now it's anti-Semitic to burn the Jewish flag. But you can.
What if I wrap it in an American flag, like a flag turducken?
Yeah, like what if you do that? Mel, Village Crazy Lady, says, don't know how I missed this. Yesterday, a federal court banned the burning of the Israeli flag because it has the Star of David on it. You can still burn the American flag, but it's now illegal to burn the Israeli flag. Well, rather than be a bunch of negative Nellies about this, let's look at.
Right off. First of all, the case says nothing about burning a flag.
The positives. So if you burn the flag, it's made of something synthetic and really bad for you to breathe in that smoke. So let's just think about all the things you can do with it because it's not illegal yet. Like you could use them to make a little parachute when you're doing midnight drug drops in your Cessna. And it's super absorbent household ShamWow of flags. That's what it really is. And now that they're going to make these jokes illegal. I'm guilty of being sarcastic violence, they'll call it.
Can I still use your flag to summon Enochian demons with Solomonic magic? That's what that symbol is, the Seal of Solomon. There's no Magi David. That's not a fact.
So
the Shield of David. It's nonsense.
So this ruling doesn't explicitly ban burning of the Israeli flag. It does suggest that a precedent has been set equating the Israeli flag with Jewish identity, which would open the door to ruling that burning the Israeli flag is anti-Semitic and not just a political statement opposing the Israeli government. So that's what this does.
Where's this Flags of the World store? I could just go get.
Okay, so let's get into it because thank you Jimmy Dore for actually, and I appreciate him, which is I think he tries to get to the truth of some matters, and we have some different opinions on a bunch of stuff, but I at least appreciate how he at least tried to backtrack and frame that a little bit, because Mel, who actually does great work, was actually wrong about this whole thing. So let's first read a news story about this, and then we'll actually look. We actually have the order here, the memorandum of order from the judge in this case, and what it was about. And the idea was there was a Code Pink group out there protesting, and then there was a Zionist group out there protesting. They're conflicting protests at the same time, or whatever they're doing. And someone had a Jewish flag around their neck. That doesn't seem to be using very. Look, there is a lot of hypocrisy in this kind of ruling and stuff, right? If someone has that kafifa or whatever the Palestinian thing, and they wear it to school, that's violence, right? That's inciting violence. But then you put a Jewish flag around your neck and you're like, oh, well, that's, a Jewish identity. Well, so is the other thing. Okay. So I don't even know what it's called. So, you've got some issues here. Now, part of everything that we have, and this is I would call it the devious nature, but it's from a strategic standpoint. What are we drinking this afternoon? I'm sorry to interrupt. What are we drinking this afternoon? I like I said, I just got done with a ride not too long ago, did some food and stuff. I'm just having a quick Firestone Walker. These have been my go-to. We get like a 12-pack. These are down by San Luis Obispo, the brewery down there. So that's it's an extra XPA pale ale. So that's what I got. And that's probably all I'm going to have today. I'll let it soak in to have some more food. Maybe you can go to the gym later. It's probably not the best thing to do. But I enjoy them as I do shows. So thanks for encouraging my problems, band Photoshop. So anyway, these two groups here, and someone walked by, and there's conflicting details, but pulled evidently the Palestinian, pro-Palestinian person pulled on the flag that was around the neck of the pro-Zion or the Jew. And that's the problem. So it looks like you're like, oh, you can't, we'll walk through some of this because the order then is, it's got some concerning parts about it. It's not going to be, in other words, does one court then have to look to this and uphold this as some sort of ruling? No, it's just precedent. It's precedent, okay? But it's not like an order. What? There's another word for it, and we'll get to that in a little bit here. Jewish legal advocacy group, and this is where it's going, which is the Jewish groups are going to now use this as, we've got standing where the legal justification of this is now they're going to be using this as precedent all over. That anything to do with the flag is now harping on someone's identity as a religious person. And by the way, this is what I go back to as far as the strategy of Israel, which is let's equate, we're an ethno state. Let's equate, anything with this flag or this country to be a Jewish identity. There you go. Now you've got it. There's a lot of problems you have with that, which is, okay, is it an ethnicity? Is it a, and by the way, hey, what's up, JC? Welcome in here. Talked about this on NDS, which is a little bit of fatigue from talking about all this stuff. Yeah, I'm getting kind of sick of this, and it's making me feel like I'm a one-trick pony in a way, and maybe that's why I'm losing viewers, right? Or subscribers and viewers of this show, is because maybe people are just sick of this, or they don't like to hear this kind of. I get it. But I think these are important issues. And as a mostly conservative styled person here, I think it's really important to push back against things that, you may be going down where my side, okay, or the other. I just want to be consistent. And so I have to be able to kind of smash on these things. I saw an interview last night, or it was a debate. It was Andrew Wilson and Gerald from the CEO of Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder, and they had a debate, about the religious side and actually, I've had problems with Gerald because he's total neocon, but he's moving away from that. I think it's harder once you start breaking down, and at least he's trying to be honest, he's having a hard time sticking to his Zionist neocon blood. And so he's starting to have some debates, and Andrew, I think, it was tough because in the stuff, there was a lot of concessions, and I think Gerald was just having a very tough time of sticking to it, right? And maybe I'll play, if we have time here, maybe I'll play some clips for that. But I actually enjoyed it. I started to, because immediately Gerald is conflating two things, which is Jews and Israel, and right? And I think it's important to separate those, right? When you can. When you're talking about Israel, you're just talking about Israel. You can have Palestinians that are citizens of Israel, right? Palestinians, Arabs, right? You can, that they're now the problem is the delusion and the right of return is causing some other issues there. But anyway, what was interesting when they're talking about all this is there's not even an understanding from Gerald's point of view, or at least an acknowledgement that you can be because it's talking about Christian Zionism supporting the state of Israel, and not even taking into account that a lot of people over in Israel are atheists. Okay, you're not even talking about the second coming, or they're going to have someone that they claim is like their Jesus, their second coming or first coming, I guess, and that would be what we'd call the Christ, right? Coming, and then that would be literally the Antichrist. But a lot of these people over in Israel, they're atheists, so this is not even their concept here. Hey everybody, goofy Protestants, evangelists getting annoyed with the Middle East. Yeah, it's true. It's true. But I am concerned more about stuff like this that comes over here. Now, there's always an issue to be concerned, but let's not be the type of, Daily Wires types that make up stuff and then make up causes, Israel's going, this is one thing Andrew said, Israel's every 6 months, it's the most dire situation that they're going to have over there. It's impending annihilation of the state of Israel. Oh, Israel, Iran and all, you're making up shit, or, the Daily Wire with their chocolates and their cigar, you make up hypersensitive people, the boomers, as an example. You go after them because you overhype a concern, and then you get cash in on it. That's not, we got to push back against that stuff too. So if this is like, it's going around the internet and it's like, oh my God, you can't burn a flag and you're going to go to Israeli flag and you're going to go to jail. Are you? I don't know. Maybe it's good to know the nuances and what this really is, so you don't get overhyped. But it's also good to understand what's being pushed out there. There's a lot of disturbing crap. Okay, a Jewish legal advocacy group hailed a breakthrough in court battles against anti-Semitism after a U.S. federal judge last week equated the Israeli flag with, quote, the Jewish race. That is absolutely true. The judge's decision sets a new legal standard that can be used to protect Jews targeted in anti-Zionist attack, said the National Jewish Advocacy Center and nonprofit that represented the plaintiff. Pro-Israeli Jewish activist Kamara Samro filed the lawsuit in a federal district court last month. Samro alleged that she was attacked at a pro-Israeli demonstration in Washington in November 2024 while wearing an Israeli flag tied around her neck as a cape. One, why are you, if you're supposed to be, if it's a, look, we treat the American flag with more respect than that. And you're putting it around your neck as a flag. I mean, as a cape. I mean, come on. Also, I would say what the allegations here are pretty thin as far as the actions that took place, okay? And with that in mind, you take a look down, I think there was a girl down in Florida, guy's wearing an IDF shirt. Now remember, there's all these cases, Harvard, Cornell, and some of these other, big universities where people are wearing their Palestinian scarf, and that's violence. A guy wears an IDF shirt and she yells at him, and he is one mocking her. But then they literally get the Justice Department to come and investigate this girl over this. Okay. I mean, come on, dude, grow the fuck up a little bit. If you're wearing an IDF shirt, shouldn't you be a little bit more, strong about that? Shit, I can't set fires in public in the yeah. Maybe you can't. Let's keep going though. The anti-Israel, okay, so she filed the complaint. Anti-Israel activist protester approached us from behind and yanked the Israeli flag, briefly choking her, Sumrall. I think it's a her. A police officer witnessed the incident and arrested the assailant at the scene. The complaint said the anti-Israeli protest was organized by Code Pink, a far-left activist group, true, that often demonstrates against Israel. Both the assailant and the pro-Israel activists regularly attended dueling protests in the Capitol. Sumrall said she had received death threats related to her activism after the attack, causing her to fear for her safety. The lawsuit argued that the assault was discriminatory, according to IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. See, this is problematic in here, right? This stupid definition, and I really wish, I want more cases to go up. Maybe she should push this up to the Supreme Court. I don't know if I'm really going to get that, because this needs to be combated on that part. Now, part of the problem, this isn't being she didn't get, we'll go through it in here, but it's not really, is it a free speech issue? Because that's what people are making it sound like. Remember that you can burn the American flag. Okay, there's precedent there. There's case law about burning the American flag because they say actions can be considered speech, and burning a flag is that, and so therefore it's a free speech issue. Go ahead and burn your flag. There you go. The lawsuit, like others filed by Jewish Israel supporters around the U.S., argued that Zionism is a facet of the faith and not a political position. See, I think this is where the judge does overstep of even acknowledging that. Jewish legal advocates have used the interpretation of Zionism to protect pro-Israel Jews and combat anti-Zionism under U.S. civil rights protections that cover religion, race, and national origin, but not politics. The argument has been widely used in cases involving Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which bars discrimination in programs that receive federal financial assistance, such as universities. The lawsuit said Sumrall had been targeted in the attack due to her race, religion, and national origin, and sought damages in a restraining order barring the assailant from approaching Sumrall. The lawyers for the defendant argued that she had been acquitted of the assault charges in criminal court. Okay. The defense said that the defendant's kafia, there you go, had tangled, okay, this is kind of funny, tangled with Sumrall's flag and the two bumped into each other at the protest, and that there had been no malicious contact between the two. Twisting up there as they walk by, that's a little bit much. The legal team argued the lawsuit was conflating honest and widespread criticism of Israel's policies in Palestine with anti-Jewish hate. I agree. And none of that should be prosecutable. And that the incident or even allowed to go forward in a civil action, as we have here, that was discriminatory. That was not discriminatory. The restraining order would prevent the alleged assailant, because that's what she was filing here, with the assailant from attending protests, violating her First Amendment rights, since both women attend the same events on opposing sides. I mean, come on, people, go both of these people, go get something to do in your life. I know it's a probably a big issue, but you're both in America. I mean, just go do something more, right? Just something else. I don't know. The judge in the case, District Trevor and McFadden, sided with Sumrall, saying that the defendant purposely discriminated against her on the basis of race, and she was likely committed batteries. Okay, so we're going to go through this because really the breakdown of this is the legal blog, Volok conspiracy blog off of Reason Magazine. We'll read a little bit of this one. Plaintiff Sumrall and defendant Janine Ali frequently attend protests about the Gaza war. The problem is they are both on opposite sides. Last fall, proudly displayed if speech provokes wrongful acts on the part of hecklers, the government must deal with those wrongful acts directly. Sumrall asked for a modest stay-away order against Ali and that she feels comfortable continuing to attend pro-Israeli protests and counter-protests. The court grants her preliminary injunction request. All persons within the jurisdiction of the United States shall have the same right in every state and territory to make and enforce contracts, to sue, give evidence to the full and equal benefit of laws, proceedings for the security of persons and property as is enjoyed by white citizens. This is from 42 U.S.C. 1981 claim statute. The parties contest, 1, whether Ali purposely discriminated against Sumrall, and 2, whether that action deprived her of the equal benefit of all laws. It goes down here, some other case law. I want to get to kind of where, first, Sumrall has sufficiently shown that Ali purposefully discriminated her on the basis of race. A preponderance of the so here's another thing. This is civil here, civil restraining order, preponderance of the evidence. We've been over this before. Preponderance of the evidence, and simply is it a little more likely than not that this is true? Okay, the plaintiff is making a case. And, for civil restraining orders, even though it's brought under federal code here, statutes, the statutes themselves and the federal stuff about her race really has to do with that this person was targeted, okay, and that something did take place that was a little bit more likely than not to have, and that she does fear for her because this might actually happen again. Okay, that's kind of the standard that you're looking for here. Is there a likelihood that it's going to happen again? Did this actually happen? Was there some sort of an assault, something that would trigger that this judge should then grant her, I think it's 2 hers, a stay-away order, right? A restraining order in this case. Let's see here, because I want to see. Granted, as Ali argues, the Superior Court acquitted Ali of simple assault because the evidence did not rise beyond a reasonable doubt. So criminal side, much higher standard. Civil, much lower. But this court evaluates a similar preliminary injunction using a lower preponderance standard, all weighing of the evidence before the court discredits all these evidence that contradicts Officer Boni's testimony. So the court finds that Ali likely committed battery, an intentional, harmful, or offensive touching or use of force upon physical person of another. The evidence shows at a minimum an offensive touching, that is, when Ali briefly choked Sumrall by yanking on the flag around her neck. Okay, so let's look at a few things here. All the way into the evidence before likely committed a battery. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that this judge actually knew what the fuck he was talking about, because this is a battery. A battery involves actual touching, and even though it was two flags connecting and pulling on each other, an assault is if you have a battery, now this person likely you pull on the back, you're not having an assault because you had no apprehension. An assault is an apprehension, your anticipation of a possible battery. Okay, so standing in front of her, she's gonna reach around to pull the flag, and you're kind of reacting because you're seeing it coming. Then you have an assault, and then the touching part, then you do have a battery. But if she's pulling the flag from behind and it's just you never see it coming, there's no assault happening. Just throwing that out there for you people. Next, the battery was direct evidence of discrimination that likely would not have occurred but for racial animus. Purposely yanking on the Israeli flag tied around a Jewish person's neck to choke them is direct evidence of racial discrimination. I think that is going too far, because you can have a Christian Zionist wearing this flag out there to support Israel. They're not a Jew. Okay, so that this judge just it takes in it. You have this though, right? Which is I don't know what the defense really put on as far as evidence. All you would have to do is do like Ben Shapiro. He goes, we've got an Arab on the Supreme Court, therefore we cannot be racists. And it's like, okay. One, he's got to take a full-on commitment to the Jewish people. I mean, I'm sorry, that's not correct. Okay. But I don't know if the defense put on any kind of evidence that you can have a non-Jew wearing this flag, and you may have a problem thinking it's a Jew, okay? But it really is the flag of Israel, right? It's a country. So now is a flag of Saudi Arabia, pulling on that. Is that a racist thing? Sounds like it to me, because you're going to assume if it's an Arab country, maybe Iran or something like that. Iran, sorry, Thaddeus Russell. He ripped on me once for the way I pronounced Iran. So anyway, it's gonna snowballs here, because it doesn't just then get to say this flag, these people only, and no one else. It's a little odd though, right? Wouldn't you say? Free speech is finished here in Ireland. Well, you got McFadden, the judge. Maybe he's going through this. Got this on the living room floor on the big screen so the baby can see what a gay man looks like. Okay, go fuck yourself there, garbage man. I hope how's your daughter likes that sound, those words. The Star of David emblazoned upon the Israeli flag symbolizes the Jewish race. Battery, particularly involving a racial symbol, is strong evidence of racial discrimination. It is more severe than racial slurs or statements that constitutes direct evidence, and targeting the Star of David is racially motivated as highly offensive racial slur, which constitutes direct evidence. Okay, so let's go on here. I'm going to go to the actual order here. So the judge does go through this painstaking method of trying to equate, let's just right here, trying to equate the Jewish flag with being racist, da-da-da-da-da. But let's get to the end here. Let's see if we can find out. Disputed, da-da-da-da. Preliminary injunction is an extraordinary remedy granted sparingly. Okay? The movement must, by a clear showing, the burden of persuasion. Plaintiffs carry that the burden of with 4 showings. 1, substantial likelihood of success on the merits, and that they would suffer irreparable injury if the injunction were not granted, that an injunction would not substantially injure the other interested persons, and that the public interest would be furthered by the injunction. A district court should hold an evidentiary hearing and make factual findings if faced. So she filed this, and probably ex parte, put it in there, and then the judge now has to go forward. Okay. We'll walk through this. How many pages is this whole thing? I don't want to waste all of our time. This is, it's 20 pages, and I'm on page 6 here. So let's go forward, because I want to get to the meat and the potatoes about, talks about the case. Is there real balance, reason for it? Jurisdiction to do it. Other circuits have considered the question to reach the same conclusion for the instance. No, it's not what it is. I want to get to the part about just talking about the flag. Sumrall has shown she is likely to succeed on the merits of her 1981 claim. The states all persons. Okay, so this is still about the jurisdiction. Okay, let's talk about this. This is kind of where we went here. Next to battery was direct evidence of discrimination that likely would not have occurred but for racial animus. Direct evidence is a, quote, smoking gun that itself shows racial or gender bias. One statement alone is direct evidence is enough to send a case to trial. An action that can plausibly be interpreted is 2 different ways, one discriminatory and the other benign, does not constitute direct evidence. Purposely yanking on an Israeli flag tied around a Jewish person's neck to choke them is direct evidence of racial discrimination. Okay, so here's why I don't think this case is going to be much of anything, right? Which is, and they want it to be the exact kind of precedent setting that Mel made it in The Crazy Village Lady, which is, oh my God, you can't burn an Israeli flag. No, this judge, I don't like where he goes, but I understand. Look, was there, the reality of this whole case is someone jerked on the neck of the flag and pulled on this neck of this person. Let's just say it was 2 soccer hooligans, okay, out there. This could be done this exact same way. This guy is using the flag and the fact that they were at a protest and back and forth about Jews in Gaza and Israel. That in itself was 2 conflicting things. If you have 2 soccer hooligans out there with their flags in their teams and one pulls the other, you can assume that the flag is associated with the person's connection to that team. That in itself, if you hate that team, could be shown as, now it's not as high of a level of your interests and your rights as it would be about your gender, your race, religion, and whatnot. There's additional protections there, but it would be direct evidence that was intended to do some harm to that person because of their affiliation with that team. That is similar to what he's talking about here. He walks through this whole thing and says, look, the Star of David, the flag, and we're going to get to that. The reality of this is, what is the outcome? The outcome is there a restraining order because they met the elements? This flag part is a connector to that. That's why I don't think it's as big of a deal. First of all, the ADL and whatnot, they're going to overdo it. They're going to try to use this on hey, this judge said this. And another judge is going to be like, well, one, I don't have to use that. That's not a precedent for me. That's just another case citing here that he happened to say that this evidence in this situation meant that the flag was likely pulled and probably did it for racial reasons. And by the way, it probably was, okay? It doesn't mean, though, that flag now is sacrosanct. And I think that's the important part we need to get out of this. The Star of David emblazoned on the Israeli flag symbolizes the Jewish race. The Star of David, and he goes to Encyclopedia Britannica, the yellow badge that Jews were forced to wear in Nazi-occupied Europe invested the Star of David with a symbolism indicating martyrdom and heroism. I say martyrdom because, that's their whole thing. Battery, particularly involving a racial symbol, is a strong evidence of racial discrimination. I don't disagree with that, right? If someone pulled on the kafifa or whatever it was, there's likelihood that was because they were a Palestinian, okay? Or Arab, Okay, there are Christians from there, but likely that they're because they are Arab. Battery, okay, discrimination. A racially motivated battery violated. It is more severe than racial slurs or statements. That's true. That constitute direct evidence. And targeting the Star of David is racially motivated as highly offensive racial slur, N-word, which constitutes direct evidence. So once again, this judge is talking about direct evidence of something that happened, and so he's equating that as using it. I don't think that this case sets any kind of precedent that you now can't do anything against the Israeli flag. I just think that's the thing. Two blacks to do various Ollie has proffered no benign interpretation whatsoever of choking Sumrall, and it is hard to imagine one. Her closest argument contends that the Israeli flag represents a state of Israel rather than the Jewish race, so her action is merely anti-Israel, not anti-Semitic. But it is quite a stretch to say that yanking on a flag tied around someone's neck is an objection to state policies. Battery is not a legitimate form of protest. A physical assault is not by any stretch of the imagination expressive conduct protected by the First Amendment. I mean, I agree with this completely, right? Of doing this. You call the violence, you don't get to do that just because they have the wrong flag or the wrong shirt on there. The girl that was in Florida with the guy wearing the IDF shirt and she's yelling at him, that's good. I don't know why the Justice Department flocked down there, but they did. Israeli government, rather, it is more likely that she was intentionally attacking a Jewish person wearing a Jewish flag as a symbol of her racial heritage. Look, I think at this point, I would actually believe that he's saying that that's most likely the case. I believe that's true. I totally, the cop, as an example, kind of the testimony, he arrested her right away. I don't think the flags getting wrapped up together was legitimately what happened. I think it was someone who got pissed off, like one of these Karens type, you don't have your mask on and you've seen this all over the place. I doubt, it's hard for me to go to that a Code Pink person has any kind of restraint necessary. All these people are crazy out there in these protests, I would imagine, okay? So I don't give any love for any of these ones. The other one also pursuing this, I mean, let's be honest here. Pursuing this civil claim, restraining order, so she can always attend her. Come on. Matter of fact, there's testimony in here that each of them, since this, before the restraining order was put in place, they just kept attending rallies together and nothing happened. I do think, though, that I get where the judge is going here. He's probably saying, look, you guys aren't smart enough. I know you're making this argument, but I don't think you're actually smart enough to be making these distinctions in your mind at the time. You see this flag, you assume it's this racial person, and you're yanking on it because you think they're a Jew. Completely. I think that's reasonable to understand. I don't like where he's equating that flag itself with Jewish identity, but he's not making an order that it's about Jewish identity. He's saying this is direct evidence as to why this took place, okay? I think this is all very important. I don't think this judge's ruling is necessarily wacky at all, okay? I don't like how he necessarily puts it in there. Okay, as Sumrall's counsel contended at the preliminary injunction here, if yanking a flag emblazoned with the Star of David tied around a person's neck at a pro-Israel protest is not discrimination, I don't know what it is. Well, it's two bitches that are just fighting. I mean, you can't, likely that it's the case, I get it. But you also have to understand the ADL, and we've talked to, when you go watch my stuff with Leo Frank, I mean, shit. A Jewish author in the 1968, Leonard Dennerstein, wrote about the Leo Frank case. It was anti-Semitic in nature because, why? Because they took a testimony of a black man over a Jewish man. Therefore, it was de facto anti-Semitic. That's the kind of people, the kind of attitudes that also make these kind of statements. You can't say anything and it's anti-Semitic. Okay, it's outright. How dare you even do anything but praise me? It's the LGBT stuff, right? Which is, if you aren't outright, what's her name, that ran for Libertarian Party presidential thing, you have to be actively pro this thing that you don't like. It's like, I don't have to be for gay marriage. And it's not okay to just say, I don't really want to take an opinion. You have to praise it. That's also what's going on here. So if you don't praise it, now, this was a battery. So it's also part of that. And I want to acknowledge that, okay? Finally, Ollie contests that Summerall's pleading of a state tort is not enough to show a deprivation of the equal benefit of all laws for security of persons. But Ollie's cited cases both explicitly state that 1981, that's the federal code, provides remedies for a broad range of actions that could be characterized as various state torts. There is no persuasive reason why racially motivated torts that deprive a plaintiff of an equal benefit of laws or proceedings from the security of a person's or property should be outside the ambit of federal authority. Summerall has shown that Ollie committed at least one tort, battery, against her and should not have occurred but for racial discrimination. See, I just don't like that. But anyway, for these reasons, the court holds that Summerall has shouldered her burden to demonstrate a likelihood of success on the merits. And once again, that's just a preponderance of the evidence, the restraint, and this is actually an injunction, a likelihood of succeeding on the merits. I'm going to do a preliminary injunction. Boom. This is quite simple, okay? It's not much to get worked up over. Summerall has also shown the absent, narrowly tailored preliminary relief. She will be irreparably harmed. To obtain the extraordinary remedy of preliminary injunction, a plaintiff must show prospective injury that is both certain and great. It must be actual and not theoretical. She must establish that the injury is of such eminence that there is clear and present need for equitable relief to preventable irreparable harm. The harm must not be reparable using damages or other forms of relief. Summerall alleges two forms of irreparable harm: discrimination and fear of physical assault. Sometimes courts have determined that being subjected to discrimination by itself is irreparable harm. Okay, so he's got a precedent there. It is well established that victims of discrimination suffer an irreparable injury regardless of an actual pecuniary damage. This is particularly so when there is future discriminatory conduct to be prevented. The court has already found that Ollie likely engaged in assaultive discriminatory conduct. She has shown no remorse or taken accountability for her battery. See, this is the problem you're in here in these kind of civil restraining area type of things. One of the aspects they look, as he's showing here, is the likelihood of success. That's one. But then, is there going to be irreparable harm if we don't do something? Now, if this person is caught here because they can't say, yeah, it happened, I'm totally sorry it happened. Because she's claiming we got our tangles webbed, our flags and neck scarves connected, and therefore this is what happened. She can't just say, I yanked on it, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Because now she's, so it's kind of, I wouldn't say disingenuous, but the court's stuck here, and so is the defendant, because the defendant should be saying, I'm sorry, this should not be happening. It's not going to happen again. I'm totally sorry. Now you're saying you did it, right? But she's already passed the criminal stage. So the court isn't going to put her in jail. It's just, is this more likely than not that it's going to happen again? And if so, we need to make sure that it doesn't. The fact is now, this person, when she got done with the criminal stuff, she should have just gone in and said, yeah, it happened. I don't know. I was low blood sugar. I'm an angry lesbian. I don't know what happened, and that's what happened. So if you could have done that, you might have gotten past the need for it going forward. Okay. More parties agree that Ollie will be at the same protests again. So the discriminatory harm the discriminatory harm has a high risk of reoccurrence. The two women would likely be again at close proximity at emotionally charged events. Good God. This is two women at an emotionally charged event. You've already got an emotionally charged woman, two of them. Now you're going to put them at an emotionally charged event. God help us. Let's see what the thing is going here. Oh my God. Hi, Andy. Hi, JC. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for Israel. Exactly. Joel Jorgen said Alan Dershowitz should be in the Supreme Court choice, but no one dare call the LP a honeypot. Well, not her. She maybe the LP, but when she's going to try to be the head of the LP, there's no honeypot associated. She is just. I told you, I sat at a table right next to her at a dinner, and she was eating the whole time. Everyone's done at her table, and she's just continually pounding pounding food down. It was disturbing to watch. Okay, so they keep going here. Finally, the balance of the equities, the public interest favor a modest 3-yard stay-away order. Evidence of past physical harm can tip the balance of hardships. Sharply in the party's favor, and more case law. Here, the history of battery favors an order against Ali. Its narrowness ensures both women can still be present at the same event. The parties are in violent agreement, okay, that they both have the First Amendment rights to speak their minds about the war in Gaza. The 3-yard order. By the way, this court case got way too much. This bitch, I'm sorry, grow some balls. Grow some balls. And why? I believe she took this case. It said pro se, but I believe there was a lot of help and backing with her from some groups that really wanted something like this, because they're going to get it out of this. 3-yard stay away, that's nothing, right? Right? 3 yards. Let's do some math here. 3 times 9 feet. I didn't do math. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean that's nothing. We get restraining orders all the time, and they're always like 100 feet. So this is funny. There's no history of Summerall seeking out Ali to repel her from events, though the Superior Court 5-yard stay away order has been in place for several months. The public interest also favors an injunction. Okay. I'm not going to, let's go. Weighing all the factors, the court will grant Summerall's motion for a preliminary injunction. The terms of the stay away order against Janine Ali are as followed. Stay at least 3 yards away. Stay 100 yards away from her home and place of employment. Okay. Look, it didn't restrict the other person from being at these same events. You can't do that in the same, it's difficult, because otherwise you're using these things as a cudgel, right? That person, Ali, has a right to be going to these events too. Free speech and all, freedom of association. So let her go, but just stay 3 yards away, okay? Can't go to her home, nothing like that, place of employment. Have no contact with her by any means whatsoever. Do not communicate and attempt to communicate with her either directly or through person. This is it's boilerplate restraining order stuff. The order is effective immediately when placed till further order of this court. So they'll probably have to go back. I guess there's a 5-yard. So maybe the other court gave a certain duration of time for this restraining order to be in place. I don't know. I'm just saying here, I don't think it's all that big of a deal. So come stay away. Come stay away. Who is that? Is that Styx? Dennis DeYoung? I don't know. Yeah, Dennis DeYoung. Was he other? Give me the answer. For some reason, I'm losing who that was. Yeah, it's either Styx or the group Dennis DeYoung used to be in, and I don't remember what that group was. I'm losing it. Come sail away. Come sail away. Come sail away with me. Yeah. All right, so that's what we got with that one. Let's go here. We had the full chat. You guys are still there. Appreciate it. Andy, it's up and about. Okay, so now we broke through that one. So let's go through with this other one here. See if I can find this one. I wanted to find the original tweet. I don't know if I have it. Okay, here we go. There we go. Oh, you can't see it that way. Okay, meet 27-year-old Destiny Marie DeCiccio, who has the distinct dishonor of being the first person charged under Florida's new anti-Semitism law. She is charged with disorderly conduct, uttering an illegal opinion. She now faces 30 days in jail with 10 on work duty. Now, I had said after my show at Top Lobster and them about Leo Frank, I'm probably going to jail. Probably going to jail. Okay, so let's take a look at what this has to do. Hang on here. I want to take a look one story here. Okay, so here's a fact check about this. But let's first take a look at the governor's orders here. Is that going to show it enough? Okay, I may have to fix this. Hang on, everybody. All right, and then we'll pull this in just a tad. Okay, so there we go. So Governor DeSantis signs legislation in Israel further combating anti-Semitism. This is so embarrassing. This howdy partner. Wasn't Florida supposed to be a free state? Yes, good afternoon. What's up, Tyler? What's up, Adam Choit? How you doing? Sticks. Okay, so I was right. There you go. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis visited Israel, and as part of his international trade mission, where he signed House Bill 269 to provide law enforcement agencies with new enforcement mechanisms to punish perpetrators of anti-Semitic incidents and those who target religious communities by signing HB 269. Governor DeSantis once again made Florida a leader on protecting religious liberty. Well, no. Because is this about all religions or just Jewish anti-Semitism stuff? And the state of Israel to both the United States and around the world. To read the summary of the bill, click here. All right, 269 House Bill. A person prohibits a person from harassing, threatening, or intimidating another person based on the person wearing something that signifies their religious or ethnic heritage, including traditional Jewish garb. I mean, I know when you're doing laws, you like to be specific on some things because it matters. But, you know, I'm just going to wear a cross around my neck and Jewish garb. Okay. Prohibits a person from intentionally dumping litter onto private property for the purpose of intimidating or threatening the owner, resident, or invitee of the property. What the fuck is this? Prohibits a person from willfully and maliciously interrupting or disturbing any assembly of people met for the purpose and acknowledgement of the death of an individual, whether a funeral parlor, a family's home, or if they're sitting at home where they are sitting Shiva. I mean, can you just say for this is so frustrating. Again, displaying or projecting an image onto a building, structure, or other property, including synagogues, of course, without the written consent of the owner of the building. Okay, a new trespass offense. If a person who is not authorized or invited willfully enters the campus of a state college university for the purpose of threatening or intimidating another person and is warned. See, there's the problem. This is you can go in there to argue with someone, and then they're going to interpret it as threatening or harming. That's why they probably went down to Florida, where that girl was, and she's like, "Oh, you're wearing that IDF shirt. You're a baby killer." And he's like, "Oh, am I? Let's get the DOJ involved. You are threatening me, and you will be warned." Earlier this year, the FBI released updated crime statistics demonstrated by over 50%. I don't really give a shit about that part. Okay, so let's see. I didn't want to delete that here. So I want to go back to this law, Israel's Independence Day, HB. Let's go to this one here, HB. Public nuisances amending. Yeah. So that's the law. So there you go. So, okay, let's talk about this girl now. Was Destiny Muriel charged with disorderly conduct, uttering an illegal opinion under Florida's new anti-Semitism law, and is she facing 30 days in jail? Now, this is Lead Stories fact check. We'll just take it for what it's worth. No, that's not true. Court records show she was charged for disorderly conduct involving the throwing of a slice of pizza. Anti-Italy hate there. Why are you throwing women, once again, charged emotionally, throwing fucking food around? Nothing bothers. I just really hate it. I can't stand even. I don't know. Maybe I'm pretty clean and I don't like food thrown. I don't like that. I can't watch movies or TV shows where they suddenly break out and it's a pies or food fight. I'm like, someone's got to clean that up. That's a mess. You know how hard that stuff is to get out of carpet. Oh my God, it's on the sofa. It drives me nuts because I like things clean. And so this bitch throwing a pizza really bothers me. Plus, I could really go for a slice right now. According to the records, she pleaded no contest, and there was no mention of anti-Semitism or uttering of opinions of any court or police documents, and that she was sentenced to jail. The claim appears to be a screenshot of what looked like a social media post of unclear origin that was attached to an X post, archived here, where it was published on August 22, with the comment that read, 30 days in jail for anti-Semitism, the first person to be charged in the Florida law. There it is. Details, archived here, which shows charge disorderly conduct, 2nd degree. Breach of peace, disorderly conduct, whoever commits such an act, corrupt. Okay, so maybe that's the problem with the bill that throws in then the Jewish stuff. It's like, oh, you can. We've had that before with, what was the guy? Misfit Patriot, right? You're like, oh, did he beat up a retard? Oh, it's like 65 years and older and or mentally disabled type of people. So it's a catch-all type of a crime or at least statute that does it. And so maybe that's part of it. It was under that bill that it's like you can't do, disorderly conduct stuff, and maybe it throws it because these people are insane about adding everything to every little crime. You throw in Jew here and there, so that Zionism, throw it all in there. So no matter what you do, you can throw it in as. And I think a lot of it is for statistics. You saw the FBI thing talking about statistics. If you do all these things, and this lady threw a pizza. It's kind of like the COVID shit, right? Which is like dying of COVID or you had COVID and then you got hit by a car on your motorcycle and now you're dead. They're like, oh, died with COVID. Let's put that in the stats. The ADL and those things, they love those kind of things. Let's catch up on the chat here. What do we got here? Getting arrested for waving a flashlight in the air. Okay. Yeah. It's relocated to Rumble. There hasn't been a good fight in a movie in 30 years. I would agree. Another brilliant law by Jared Paulus made it so using a child's real name in court is abuse. Interesting. All laws by Democratic leaders in Colorado. Yeah, Colorado. By the way, Eric, thanks for coming in here. I've formerly lived in Colorado, and I do agree with that. Whatever you said. I didn't even really read the whole thing. So anyway, she threw a pizza. Fighting the tumultuous behavior of premises, license, the actions. So I don't see, anyway, it looks like it's a complete refutation of that. But there is this law out there. So that is somewhat problematic. Yeah, somewhat problematic. Did I have another one? I think I had another situation. We could talk about the Shaun King thing real quick. I don't know if we want to, but I've been kind of staying away from this story. Partly because he does deserve his day in court. Okay, this guy appears. The Sting. Michael Tracy is now out there, and he's ripping on Dave Smith, and he's ripping on everybody that thinks that Epstein is a real thing. And he's been good on like the Russia hoax thing. So I try to give it to him a little bit. But he also has a bunch of tweets out there, and let me see if I can actually find him. Let's see. So, sorry, I'm just trying to find my own. Oh, here you go. Here you go. Okay, so let's take a look here. This is Michael Tracy's, ripping on people and stuff, but you can't see that. But here's the kind of stuff he was saying. This is him in 2023 in October. A handful of left-wing people calling for a ceasefire in Gaza would never dream of doing so for Ukraine. And the handful of right-wing people calling for a ceasefire in Ukraine would never dream of doing so for Gaza. The absurdity of U.S. political discourse is nutshell. Okay, how about people claiming that Hamas beheaded babies? And then he's like, how many babies, children are you willing to concede were killed in Hamas attack? Perhaps in a hail of bullets or burned rather than specifically beheaded. And then he goes on here, does another one here. He goes, how about if the 40 babies, young children's heads were just ripped off with bullets or burned, as opposed to chopped off with a samurai sword? Is the important thing really the word beheaded from a Hebrew English translation, the most precisely descriptive, accurate? I think there's been now, follow up with that there, I think one or two children were involved in this, but look, it is important because that is the kind of, once again, I think that if you look back at the Leo Frank stuff that I've talked about, it's very important of setting the landscape, so to speak, right? And back when they talk about the case now, they don't take into account what the situation was then, and they also really just skip right over the fact that once they said they being Leo Frank and his team, and then all the supporters in the North were highly racist against black people. They had no problem with being KKK for many years, but they try to tie his death and lynching to the KKK because now you sully the whole situation. That's the same type of thing here, which is you try to make it as bad as possible. Killing the people, October 7th was just bad in general, okay? Oh, but now they are so depraved. They burn babies. So they go to extreme lengths to show these, absurd lies, because now it's justifiable, your reactions. Once again, it's justifiable to do whatever you want about the Leo Frank stuff because he was lynched and it started the KKK, therefore the South, da-da-da-da-da. Right, and it's insanity. Point is here, Michael Tracy, with this case of this guy, let's see if I can find this here, of this guy here in, that was, in a sting in Vegas. This is Israeli, and then they let him go back home. I don't know all the details on it. So I'm kind of holding back on some of that. This guy does get his day in court. According to Michael Tracy, he was on an adult app. But then his whole justification is like, he couldn't have been doing this, people. He was on an adult app, and it makes you do an age verification. Now, Mel, the crazy village lady, said she goes, no, I went in there, started a thing, fake date of birth, and had no problem with me doing that. And that's also like, terms of service defense. I couldn't have shot that person, Your Honor. I was in a gun-free zone. It's not allowed. Okay, things aren't allowed a lot of times, okay? But sometimes it happens. My point is, I'll let this guy have his day in court. If he actually shows up, that will be the interesting part. And then we can, walk our way through this. It'll be a little bit more interesting. What do we got here? There hasn't been a good fight. Okay, we said that. Another brilliant law. All those. Okay, I already went there. Adam, food fight. Yeah, that hasn't been a good food fight. The Great Race. That had a great pie fight. That was in the 60s, though. Usually the Disney movies like those, right? Who isn't racist towards the... there was a big food fight at the end of Blazing Saddles. Yes, there was. A lot of good fights there. So anyway, Shaun King... He posts this out, the whole story about this stuff. He's really gone hard against this guy. And then it comes out where I talked about this a little bit on the last show, where Grok, when Grok was based a few weeks ago and then got shut down, evidently this guy who is, let's see, what is he? Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, one of Netanyahu's top cyber warfare officials. He evidently, and he's talked about, there's should we just do this? Let's see if we can find, I think I have the video where he's talking about getting people removed. Here we go. So this is the problem with this one is it's going to be dubbed over. So let's see if we could make sure we have some.
He's the head of the technological. Tom Alexandrovich is with the National Cyber Unit. He is the head of the Technological Defense Department.
The state prosecution received almost 30, I think it handled 26,000 and received about 40,000 inquiries starting from the 7th of October regarding inciting content, about content that leads to demoralization, about some malicious content. This is huge data. 90% of this data is all under the Meta group, which includes Instagram, Facebook, and so on. There are organized campaigns on this issue. We saw a lot of posts. A lot of posts that the prosecution removed. Several hundred posts of content associated with
it is an initiative that came from Iran.
It is not only about such enemies. We are also talking about activists or other anti-Israeli activities that are organizing against Israel. I also encourage people to report to us so that others can benefit.
Okay, so that's one thing. That's a guy talking about getting posts and stuff removed from what you call it, Meta. Okay, let's hear Netanyahu. There you go. He was on that really bad. What's the Konstantin Kisin? I didn't save the thing. Let's see if I can find the interview here, because he talks about getting stuff removed, and hang on. Let's go interview Kisin. Let's see if this is this. Let's see if this is one. Okay, let's see here.
It's not merely that it can't be held to a higher standard. It's held to an impossible standard. I mean, look at the Allies in World War II. You know what they did when they went into Congress? Do you know, Constantine? Do you know what did they do? Tell me, what did they do? Did they call civilians to leave? Did they give them, caravans of food? Did anything of that?
Okay, so he's not. I want to get to the one. I'm sorry, this is a little bit difficult to see here, because he talks about getting stuff removed, or that you should the algorithm.
And losing the propaganda war for about 2,500 years.
Not
What's
true.
different now is that we're winning the ground war. We're forcing, what comes after the propaganda vilification is massacres, and what we're doing now, massacres that we were completely defenseless with. Right now, after the vilifications come the attacks, but we're winning those attacks. That's the change. And the faster we win, I think the faster the propaganda war will dissipate.
Okay. His propaganda war? I don't know. Let's try a different search thing. Algorithm. Can't even spell that right. Let's see if this is the one.
The lies, the starved children, the pictures of starved children who turn out to have cerebral palsy or other congenital diseases that leave them emaciated. And Israel is, of course, accused of starving children, pretty much the way that in the Middle Ages Jews were accused of killing Christian children for their blood. So, what do you do against the lie that circles the earth?
That's a bit of a stretch. Hyperbolic much?
10 times before the truth has a chance to emerge. You have to shorten the war as speedily as possible. And frankly, we also have to do something about the algorithms and the social networks. This is a big challenge. I don't want to it's
okay. So there you go. So I'm just trying to tie this. So you've got the head of the cyber unit for Netanyahu saying that he's getting a bunch of things removed from Meta. There you go. Shaun King shows this thing here. Let's see here. This is his. Okay. Shaun King says, I finally know exactly who got me banned. Okay. I just got home to my computer. This post, which Twitter deleted, was up the last post I made before I left the house, and my computer still had it up. I'm about to repost it now, and they want to delete it, so I'll have to do it over and over again, or ban me. I won't stop. The following tweets were posted. I think I finally know exactly who got me banned for life from Instagram 606 days ago. ChatGPT puts the likelihood at 95%. Grok says 80. Here are the receipts and the details. Grok, do you have any information on why X accepted Israel's demand to remove 9 of your tweets about Tom Andronovich? So basically, he's now getting a bunch of stuff removed over and over, and it looks like it's because on behalf of Israel, and they're doing this. This goes right into the COVID stuff. We talked about this a little bit before with the Missouri. Actually, even Alex Berenson, I think we've got this.
That is a career-ending slur. It is a career.
Right, so he actually sued, I think successfully, the U.S. government because these platforms were, kicking him off and removing posts, but they were actually just full on suspending and not letting you have your speech on there. But it was the government pushing these, and this is a foreign government doing this. I don't know, legally, how does that work? First Amendment rights, okay, but this isn't your government doing it. It's a foreign one. It's just odd. It's really disturbing here. Emma just walked in and said, "Is this live?" Who's she? Minder? Oh, so Emma's Minder. Oh, that's right. Algorithm. Yes, exactly. So anyway, once again, this is kind of a mixed bag here today, right? Which is, I don't think the Israeli flag thing is as bad as made it look out to be. And so people jump on that and they go, oh my God, it's like, okay, calm the fuck down. Let's look into this. It's not really what you thought it was. This person, I believe, did do a Karen thing and pull on the scarf. It totally makes sense. The evidence appears to be there. And then the standard's low. And then she got an injunction. And you know what? It's what it is. Was it likely that someone with an Israeli flag was Jewish and she did this thinking this is a Jewish person? Likely, okay? Is this really going to be precedent setting and we're going to just go down this rabbit hole and it's going to be, bad? Keep your eyes on it. I don't think so. Now, then the pizza chick, once again, same thing. Be careful of that shit out there in Florida. I don't understand what's going on, but I would, push back on these things. Oy vey, the Jews. Exactly. Oy vey, everybody. Oy vey. This is what it is. I made the comment the other day, which is, talking about the Leo Frank stuff, and you're really going down this rabbit hole. My wife's like, what is the deal? Why are you so involved in this? And then she starts doing the sympathy thing about the Holocaust. And my pushback was just kind of like, okay, but do you just think that we should, she goes, because that shit happened. What would you do if you were, if that was your family? And I'm like, okay, well, hang on. Before I answer that, you answer my question. Should we be giving reparations to all the blacks in the U.S. now? Just give them reparations? And she's like, well, okay. And she got the equating the two there, the scenarios, which is, okay, at some point, and by the way, we should do this, which is, there's a documentary called Defamation, and it's about the ADL, and it's really pretty good. We could do this maybe on a Substack, Patreon type of only thing. It's free, by the way. Go to tyleryonke.substack.com and just sign up there. You can do it for free. You can also pay, but you can do it for free. And did anybody give any money today? It looks like we've got $0. That's awesome. But you can do that for free, and I would like to do a watch along with that. Okay. But it's really a fascinating thing there because they take young kids from Israel over to Auschwitz, and they really just work them over to have these kids can't sleep. And it's like, yeah, you're literally setting up these kids all the time to have this fear that the next time someone has, a little on the chalkboard does a swastika with the erasers, that you're going to be killed, okay? And then Netanyahu's out there talking about this stuff all the time. It's not a way to go through life, okay? And when in the oppression Olympics, they're way up there. But then so are a bunch of groups. And so this is what got me here, which is I'm sick and tired of the Ben Shapiro types, ripping on black people, ripping on LGBT community and everything for their oppression. And then he's even worse about it. Matter of fact, he wants to put you in jail. They just a lot of the people just want some money. And you'd think the Jews would be all over that part. So anyway, I thought that was some fantastic stuff. Okay, I think I'm done for today. By the way, I'm going to do, it's 2:45, I think at 5 o'clock. This is Pacific time. I'm going to do a cycling show. I got to go to the office still. I do not want to go to the office, but it's might be necessary. So anyway, that's really what we have for today. I don't think there's any, let's see, is there anything trending that I would be interested in sports-wise, news-wise? Trump attacks Governor Wes Moore over Bronze Star and Baltimore crime. I don't really give a shit. Okay, I think Jace. Thanks, Curtis. Thanks for the Sunday stream. I appreciate that. And Jace, you guys are awesome. Appreciate it. Once again, let me know what you think, okay? Here's what I'm thinking of doing. I know there's no Tower Gang out there anymore, okay? Tower Gang used to be on Wednesdays. What if I did my typical Friday show, kind of news, my analysis, and then what if I did a legal show on Wednesdays or legal on Fridays, rather show on Wednesdays? You guys, let me know what you think. Bye, Andy. On a Sunday? Yeah, I got to go into the office because I got to print out. I have court and I need to file something. I didn't get some things right. I need to go in there to the office to get them. It's only like 15 minutes away, but still, it's a pain in the ass. Raja Jackson. Yeah, I think that's what I just read over here about something. Okay, I appreciate the money, everybody. I wish we could... are you guys going to AskCon over there in... I would love to do that. I just don't know if I can get the time to go there. Other than that, about the same time, there's going to be Bro Grove 4. Got my Tower Gang shirt on. Bro Grove 4, and I would love to go out there to Florida again for that, so maybe we'll end up doing that. 2 shows a week would be lit. Okay, JC. I know, but JC, you can't get enough. That's what... Okay, Curtis says, bye. Everyone wants to leave. I get it. We'll be out of here. Once more. Timcast outro. M-Bomb Wednesday Law Hour. I love it. We'll have to keep it in. See you guys.
Never mind.